Hello everyone, excuse me. Peace of Christ to all of you, and apologize for being a little bit late. As you know, we are Arab and our appointment is always perfect. I was taking the Al-Burak, and Al-Burak is, he's out of gas, so what we can do. Because I was in, yesterday Al-Burak, he came and he took me to the Seven Skies and he told me where I'd like to go. I said, can we stop in San Diego? And he said, okay, San Diego, but Al-Burak have a wrong GPS. Instead of taking me to San Diego, he take me to Toronto, And he said to me, well, isn't it all of them, when I scream at him, he said, isn't all of them end with O at the end? I said, but there's a huge difference between San Diego and Toronto. He said, it doesn't matter for me, they end with O, and the Quran, all of it end with one letter. Alhamdulillah. So, today we continue with this youth, Abdul, who was terrified to death. I feel sorry for him. My room is freezing, just to let you know. So let us see how Muhammad he knew this. I mean, how Muhammad he knew this. We have to be always asking this question: how Muhammad knew this? How? This is a question which is very hard to answer. How a person who was born 1400 years ago, there's no internet, there's no library, there is no Shakespeare. How he know this? Listen carefully.
Is who created me? Where did I come from? What is my purpose in life? Many people, they try to ignore this question or they throw theories at it. Nowadays we hear that people came out of nowhere, just evolution. Millions and billions of years, people just evolved. They just, without any design, without any creator, without any purpose. But ask yourself, be intellectually honest with.
Supposedly now he was trying to convince you, if you're an atheist, come on, there's a creator, okay? And the creator, his name is Allah. Yeah. And this Allah, he made the Jews monkeys. So you are speaking to the atheist. The atheist, when I say to you, used to be a monkey, and you are saying to me, no, to them, no. The monkey used to be Jews. Let us move a little bit in, because I mean, supposedly like he is lecturer, like he's trying to convince you there is a creator, brother. There is a creator, and who is the creator? A guy, his name is Allah, who have two hands in the right side of his shoulder. Your creator need repair, man. He remind me of the Transformer when he went to fight and the guy broke his arm. And then he lost a second arm. A God, he have two arms in the right side. What's wrong? Maybe the one who put him together was out of screws, or he lost some screws, so he glued them together. So let us jump here a little bit, because all this garbage, like who created, etc. How created? Who created? Okay. And by the way, he's reading from a screen. You can tell. This guy doesn't even know how to talk. He's reading from a screen. He don't know what to say. And mostly he's reading from Zakir Naik website.
Using the scientific method, you have to have a hypothesis. My hypothesis that I'm going to put in front of you today.
Your what? What? Your hypothesis? Okay.
The Quran is of divine source. It could not, it possibly have been written by a man named Muhammad or anybody around him in the time period where it was revealed to him.
No way. No way. In the time it was revealed to him, nobody to know this. No way. Please take a note.
At that time, in the Arabian desert, a man who was ill.
Where? The Arabian desert. Yeah, he looked like he is in the Arabia Saudi. He is from his right, because the Muslims in San Diego, when they pray, they have to pray in the direction of Saudi Arabia. This is science. How you can face the Kaaba, you idiot? If you are living in the earth is not flat. The only way to face it if it's flat. Continue.
Literate. And even if he could read, he didn't have the libraries of the Greeks or the Romans or any of that kind of research in front of him to be able to read.
Exactly.
Nobody around him could have known the scientific facts that are mentioned in the Quran.
Absolutely.
This is my hypothesis. Let's put it to the test today.
Let us put it to the test. I love it.
Today in front of us. If we can test this theory against available facts, available information that we have scientifically today, and if we can prove it that repeatedly,
if we can prove it and repeatedly,
it would come true, then we have to agree that this is a fact, that this book is of divine origins.
Exactly.
So we look at scientific research in astronomy.
Look at the screen here. Yeah, okay, come on. You will not be able to say it without looking at the screen. Okay, what it says, astronomy. Quran speak about astronomy. Let us see the astronomy.
What is the origin of the universe?
Remember, the origin of the universe. Remember, please, origin. Origin, not only something. No, this is the origin, okay?
The galaxy, the planets.
The origin of the galaxy and the planet.
Today, the accepted theory today is called the nebular hypothesis.
The accepted, take a note. This is accepted theory. Accepted. The Abdul even approve it. Praise be to NASA. The Abdul approved this theory is not a theory no more. It's accepted. That means it's not a theory, you idiot. The second you say it's accepted, it's not a theory. Continue.
And according to this, the sun and the planets in our solar system began as a giant cloud of smoke.
Stop. You must be kidding me. So all our solar system was a smoke. Okay.
And then it came together.
And then came together. The smoke came together? What does that mean?
As bodies, for example, planets and solar systems and galaxies.
The smoke, you know, like smoke was smoking, and then the smoke said to the smoke, hey smoke, let us make a body. You be my body, I be your body. And the smoke became planet and the stars. Okay, I got you.
This theory was proposed by Emmanuel.
Somebody saying something wrong with my microphone, guys? Is that true? Is my microphone bad? Is my microphone bad? Somebody saying something wrong with my microphone. Okay. Well, my friend, it look like something wrong with your smoke, not my microphone. Your phone is smoking.
Swedenborg, and then Immanuel Kant in 1755.
His name is Emmanuel? Oh boy. Oh boy. All the one who discovered things, either they are Christian or Jews. Okay. So his name is not Abu Bakr? I wonder. Okay, what did this guy discover?
He published this. 1,100 years, 1,100 years before them, the Quran, it stated, ثُمَّ اسْتَوَى إِلَى السَّمَاءِ وَهِيَ دُخَانٌ. What is the Quran? And I'm going to give you the chapter and verse numbers.
Take a note, please. He will take you the chapter and the verse number. I mean, take a note. I mean, not like Christians, they don't give you the chapter number. And I want to give you the chapter, and look at his hand, he's waving it, you know. I will give you. Give us.
So you can look it up yourself. In the 41st chapter, in the 11th verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He directed Himself towards the heavens and there were smoke. So how could a man in a desert...
I don't know, the only smoke I see now is coming from your head. So you stupid idiot. Yesterday we made a video about this, but just for fun. If you are agreeing that the origin of the universe was a smoke, then you agree that your prophet is a fraud, because your prophet don't agree. This is the chapter he posed for us, and we made a video about it. You can go and watch it, but just a reminder. This guy, this potato, he did not quote everything. He quoted the verse, because if you read the verse, you will see that the earth is already created. So how he say that the whole earth, I mean the whole universe, was a smoke? And then he said to us, go to chapter 41. Here we go. This is chapter 41. Let us show you. We are quoting exactly the same chapter he is mentioning. Let us show it on the screen with the number of the chapter. Chapter 41. 41. Okay? 41. And verse number 11. So this guy, he jumped. He did not mention to you verse number 10, number 9, number 8, number etc. Because if he mentioned it, everybody will laugh at him. So if we go back a little bit, we will see that the earth is already created in 2 days. And then in 4 days, Allah, He placed all mountains and sustained or measurement, or let us say trees, grass, water, as I see here, it says, and measured therein it sustains for its dwellers in 4 days. Okay, so 2 days plus 4 days, this is 6 days already. Allah is screwed. And then he went to the heaven. And the Muslims, they say to us, Allah is not inside his creation. But you just said to me he was in the earth and then he went up to heaven. And then Allah, he went to the heaven, and the heaven was a smoke. This is the verse he mentioned. And then he made 7 heaven. But look what happened here. The earth is already created. But this is not what the theory is saying. The theory was saying everything was a smoke. And it doesn't say that the earth was created as he's, I mean, the earth is finished, and at that point there was nothing in the sky, except there's no sky actually, except only earth, full of trees, full of grass, full of water, full of oceans, rivers, as you see. So this potato, he jumped, he did not show you the rest, because the whole point he's trying to show you that the sky was a smoke. And then Allah, he made in the sky stars. And the stars are made by Allah according to NASA, to shoot NASA if they try to get out of the heaven, of the earth. This is science. Allah, he made the lamps as missiles, so he can shoot them against Shaitan. But brother, where Shaitan live? He live in the earth, brother. Okay, so each time Shaitan, he tried to leave the earth, Allah shoot him by a missile. And this is the theory of the smoke. Allah is smoking the Shaitan. Have you ever heard of stupidity and deception more than this? So he did not quote the beginning, he started from the end in order to deceive you. However, the story is not over here. Now we will talk about, and this is the title of the video, the sun and the moon has an orbit. You know, by the way, I'm very good in orbiting things. The last time a Muslim, he debated me, he have an orbit of birds going around his head. Let us see what kind of orbit I will leave for this guy. So let us jump to the orbit thing. We finish with this one. Orbit. Where is the orbit?
The sun and the moon, they move in an orbit. How do we know that? Galileo in 1632, he used his invention, the telescope.
Galileo? The sun and the moon do what? Excuse my ignorance.
Came up with this. You may say, okay, he guessed. It was a lucky guess. Okay, let's put that to the test.
Lucky guess.
The sun and the moon, they move in an orbit. How do we know that? Galileo in 1632, he used his invention, the telescope, to look and prove that the sun and the moon, they have an orbit, and they move in that orbit. But over 1,000 years before Galileo, with no telescope and no ability to have any scientific work in front of him.
Hey, come on, Muhammad, he can close his fingers like this and he can look through his hand. Come on, man. I mean, come on, don't exaggerate too much. I mean, he can make a telescope in 2 seconds. Muhammad, he can make the miswak, he make a hole in it, and this is the first Arabian telescope. Are you saying we are the Arab, we did not invent telescope? Come on, don't say that. People will laugh at us. By the way, you are not an Arab. I can't tell. No, we don't open our mouth like you. Go ahead.
How could a man named Muhammad, peace be upon him, in a desert have known that? But in the Quran, in the 21st chapter, 33rd verse, it says, هو الذي خلق الليل والنهار والشمس والقمر كل في فلك يسبحون. What does Allah say?
What? No. Go back. I want to show it in the screen. Muslims, Christians, Hindus, Jews, atheists, Buddha, rabbits, birds, listen carefully. A miracle is going to happen.
In the 21st chapter, 33rd verse, it says, هو الذي خلق الليل والنهار والشمس والقمر كل في فلك يسبحون. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us in the Quran? In the 20th
In what? Again, remember the verse number, guys. I want the verse number.
33rd verse. It says, هو الذي خلق الليل والنهار. With no telescope and no ability to have any scientific work in front of him, how could a man named Muhammad, peace be upon him, in a desert have known that? But in the Quran, in the 21st chapter, 33rd verse, it says, هو الذي خلق.
Stop. 21st chapter, 33 verse. Okay, this is the 21st chapter, and this is the 33rd. The coward, the liar, the potato. Guys, I want to play what he said, his audio, and I want one of you to tell me what he did. We got him busted. We got him busted. He said the sun and the moon, they all flip in an orbit. Did he quote that he created the light and the day and the sun and the moon, and each one of them he go in orbit? No. Did he mention the night and the day? Maybe I miss it. Let us see again. You skipped the day and the night. عفريت انت عفريت يا ول. يا ول انت عفريت. You're a bad boy. Afrit, by the way, is a story in the Quran about a guy. He is a genie. He said to Solomon, if you want, I can bring you this hot woman right away. Afrit min al-jinn. Afrit, you know Afrit? You watch those movies like Afrit Genie, like the guy is bald, you know? He looked like somehow like Sam Samu, brother, you know? Yeah, he's Afrit. What you said again? What is running in orbit?
In front of him, how could a man named Muhammad, peace be upon him, in a desert have known that? But in the Quran, in the 21st chapter, 33rd verse, it says, هو الذي خلق الليل والنهار والشمس والقمر كل في فلك يسبحون.
That to have to be honest, he mentioned it. He mentioned it. الذي خلق what? الشمس والنهار. He say it again.
With no telescope and no ability to have any scientific work in front of him, how could a man named Muhammad, peace be upon him, in a desert have known that? But in the Quran, in the 21st chapter, 33rd verse, it says, هو الذي خلق الليل والنهار والشمس والقمر كل في فلك يسبحون. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us in the Quran? In the 21st chapter, 33rd verse, He says, and it is He who created the night and the day, and the sun and the moon, each traveling in an orbit.
You idiot donkey, you just said each of them traveling in orbit. So let's say the day and the night, they go each in orbit too? Your God, Allah, He think that the day and the night are created, no problem, we can let it go. But they go in orbit. So you stupid, you are talking about the moon. You said the moon and the sun, they have an orbit, but now your God saying that the sun and the moon and the day and the night, they have an orbit. And this is why it says, kullun, all of them and each go in an orbit. So your stupid prophet, he is saying that those are going in orbit, and the orbit here mean what? We are going to show you what Muhammad said about the orbit. He will spank you badly, your prophet. Your prophet, he helped me always to spank Abdul. Actually, I use his hand to spank you. I don't spank you by my hand. I want to keep my hand clean. You know, there's corona these days. And it is He who has created the night and the day, and the sun and the moon, and each of them he float into an orbit. If we go to Ibn Kathir, because this Abdul, he might say, no, I know you don't know Arabic. Arabic is my first language. No, still you don't know Arabic. We can go and see the interpretation, and everybody will laugh at you. Chapter 22, verse number 33. Let us go to other fraud. His name is Ibn Kathir. Okay. Ibn Kathir. Here we go. We are in Ibn Kathir. When you see me singing like this, that means very cold, very cold, very cold. Okay. Brother, read with me carefully, brother. This is Ibn Kathir. Here we go. Ibn Kathir. Just let us go to the top so we'll not say, oh, this is not Ibn Kathir. This is Kathir. This is your Islamic website, and this is your fast translation for Ibn Kathir in Arabic, chapter 21 from 30 to 33. Ibn Kathir. You see it? Ibn Kathir. Okay. I'm not quoting Ibn Kathir. I'm quoting Ibn Kathir. Here it says, it is he who created the night and the day, meaning the one with darkness and stillness, and the other with light and a human interaction. Sometimes the one is longer, while the other is shorter. Then they switch. Okay. وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ, and the sun and the moon. The sun, it is on light and on path and in orbit, allotted time, and the moon, which is shines with different light, travels on different path. This is the interpretation, remember. Okay, and then he says, كُلٌّ فِي. Okay, each of them. I don't know if you guys can see it. The text is so small. Let me zoom in. Hold on. That's better. Each in an orbit floating, meaning revolving. Ibn Abbas said, they revolve like spinning wheels in a circle. This is Ibn Abbas saying. Okay, and then he says, he is clever. He clever that they break, etc., etc., etc. You know what? The explanation for each one of them is not showing. Hold on. I think there's a mistake here. Let us do this. Let us see which page. I think it's different verse where he say each one of them float. Give me a second. Because the whole point is showing him that each one of them float, right? Okay. Yeah, we have to go to chapter 36, verse number 40. You will die laughing now, because the same chapter 36, verse number 40 is speaking about the same thing, that each one of them run into an orbit. Let us go there. And again, this is Ibn Kathir. And again, this is chapter 36, number 40. And you will see that the day and the night and the moon and the sun, they go into an orbit. In a second, we will get them busted. Already we did, actually, but anyway. We are trying just to show them reference from their own books, so they will not say, it doesn't say that, CP. Here we go. They all float, each in an orbit, meaning the night, the day, the sun, the moon. All of them are floating, i.e. revolving in orbit. And this is what the verse is saying, that all of them, they are floating. So the day have an orbit, the night have an orbit, the sun have an orbit, the moon have an orbit. Now, when the Muslim, they say, Ibn Kathir is a person came, 800 years after. And when he say this, people, they became more like smart and try to avoid saying stupid things supposedly. Ibn Kathir in his time is like those Abdul in this time today. He was adopting what is in the science at that time. But yet he could not resist to say the truth, that he's a prophet claiming that night and day, sun and the moon, they have an orbit. You notice here there's no earth. The earth does not have an orbit. Why? Because the earth is fixed and the earth is a flat and everything move in the top of it. Now, how we can expose again more stupid things Muhammad he made in this story? If we go in the hadith, ask yourself, who is the one, the guy he was praising Muhammad for knowing things 1400 years ago, right? Talking about the sun have an orbit and the moon have an orbit. Let us see how Muhammad described the sun orbit. What orbit we are talking about? Is it the scientific orbit? Because Muhammad, he have different description. When they asked Muhammad, he asked himself, do you know where the sun set? I was sitting behind the Messenger of Allah, behind his donkey. While the sun was setting, I asked, do you know where the sun set, the set, which means sun? I replied, Allah and his apostle know best. He said, it's set in a spring of warm, hot water, muddy water. Sahih, in chain. We go to different hadith, and we will choose only Sahih, so Abdul will not be upset, because already he is upset. Upset mean he is jumping in the top of his chair. Once I was behind the Prophet. Always you have to be behind the Prophet. You cannot be in front of him. He is dangerous. You sit in front of him, you lost your virginity. So they don't trust him to sit in front of him. They sit in the back. Once I was with the Prophet in the mosque, and at the time of the sunset, the Prophet said, Abu Dhar, do you know where the sun set? Listen carefully. The one who's talking is Muhammad, not Abdul in YouTube. Not a potato tomato trying to lie to us about an orbit. This is the orbit. Listen carefully. I replied, Allah and his apostle know best. And you notice here that the Muhammadan, they associate the knowledge of their God and the knowledge of Muhammad together, because they are mushrikeen, they are kuffar, they are infidels. Yet they don't eat pork, as the Old Testament says, because trying to copy the Jews, but obviously they are infidels, because they associate the knowledge of a man with the knowledge of God. Both of them, they know best. For Muhammad, he know best, obviously. He said, it goes, who said Muhammad? It goes and prostrate underneath Allah's throne. And that is Allah's statement. And the sun runs to its fixed course for a term and a degree. Chapter 36, verse number 38. Muhammad explaining Quran now. Here we go. The orbit again. Chapter 36, verse number 38. This is the daily orbit of the sun. The sun goes every day from the east to the west, and then go and sleep under the throne of Allah, which is in the top of the hot muddy water. So now if we ask ourselves, which one you should listen to? Which one he is telling what Islam teach? Abdul in YouTube or Muhammad words? Do you see it? The sun saying, the sun, he says where it goes, he said it goes. Describing what? Describing the sunset. So Muhammad, Dr. Muhammad, he described where the sun goes every day, the movement of the sun, and saying that the sun goes and prostrate itself under the throne of Allah. So do you see how those fools, they try to fool you? Is it really how the sun disappear every day? The sun goes under the throne of Allah, and he mentioned that during the sunset. And then the story continue, by the way, because the sun do that every day. This is Sahih Bukhari. Every day the sun, the same story here. Do you know where the sun goes? Allah and apostle know better, know best. He said, it goes, i.e. travel. The sun is traveling when the sun set. I thought the earth is going around itself. Not for Muhammad. Science. So the sun goes, i.e. travel, till it prostrate itself under the throne of Allah, underneath the throne of Allah and take permission to rise again. Just to make it simple for you, this is the sun. You know, I cannot resist my skills in drawing. Even the room is cold and I don't know how I can hold the... Excuse my art now if today the art is not so good. So, brother, this is the earth. And the earth is... let us make it not straight. I mean, straight is not good. Have you ever heard of an earth? Yeah, the Quran says we make it like a mahd. Straight. Flat. So, this is the earth. Okay, this is the earth, brother. All right. And then every day, brother, the sun, brother, goes and prostrate. Let us draw the sun. I will make it, you know, red sun, red sun. Okay. So this is the sun. The reason the sun is not totally circle because I hit it in her head. Okay. And the sun have two horns according to Muhammad. I can show you the hadith. So the sun goes, brother, every day in the morning, like this, then like this, you know, like this, okay, and like this. And here, during the sunset, Muhammad was in a donkey. This is Muhammad. This is the donkey, sorry, not Muhammad. Muhammad looked different. This is the donkey, okay, and Muhammad in the top of the donkey. And there's a guy behind him. And a very important conversation happening, and the donkey need to have a tail. Okay, this is the tail of the donkey. Okay, so Muhammad said to the guy behind him, "Do you know where the sun set?" Muhammad, when he asked this question, brother, the sun was going in a certain direction, and it's still, you know, like it was like going in a sunset position, in a sunset position. So this is what the position of the sun. Okay. So Muhammad, he saw the sun there. He said to the guy behind him, "Do you know where the sun goes?" The guy behind him, he said, "Oh no, brother, a prophet? No way. Allah and his God know, and his Muhammad know better." So Muhammad, he said, "Okay, I will tell you. The sun goes under the throne of Allah and prostrate every day." Okay, so let us make a throne. We need a throne now. The throne is missing. Okay, so this is the throne of Allah. Yeah, thank you very much, Picasso, for saying my drawing is amazing. I know that, you know, I was like the #1 in the universe drawing competition. All right, so this is the throne of Allah, and Allah here is sitting in the top of it. He has two arms in the right side. This is how you know this is Allah. If you have an arm in the left and an arm in the right, that's not Allah for sure. Maybe this is his, you know, the one who cleaned the chair. So Allah sitting in the chair here, and then the brother, the sun keep going and keep going down, and then go down in the water. Here there's a water. Let's make a blue water. I like it blue. This is why there is a song they made for this purpose. It's about the sun going under the water. It's called "Oh Mommy, Mommy Blue." So this is the water, and then the sun, brother, go underneath the water, which is under the throne, which is the throne in the top of the water, and hide inside warm water. And then the sun in the morning, she said to Allah, "Allah, can I rise again?" Allah, he gave a permission. Hey Muslims, am I lying? Isn't this what happened? We showed you the hadith where Muhammad said the sun set in a murky water, and by the way, this is in the Quran, in chapter 18. And Muhammad said it goes every day and ask Allah permission to go back and rise again. Here we go. Read it. I did not make anything up. This is what your prophet is saying. So don't say this is not true. So it goes, i.e. travel, till it prostrate itself underneath the throne and take a permission to rise again. So it was down, rise again. It was down. Remember, when you say it take a permission to rise, That it means was where? Down under the throne, which is in the water. And then it's permitted. Then time will come, and it will be, it's going to be about to prostrate itself under the throne of Allah. But Allah will say, no, I don't accept your prostrate. And it will ask permission to go in its course, which is the same day. Go under the throne and then go back to rise. And then it will not be permitted, but it will be order to return whence it has came from. So it would rise from the west. Brothers and sisters, how you know? How Muhammad, he knew this 1400 years ago? Be honest. The guy in the video, he was honest with you. He mentioned to you Galileo, Galilean. You put Galileo with this. The sun goes every day. This is the sunset. Are you sure? And the sun go under the throne of Allah. And then the son asks Allah, can I go back, raise from the east? Allah will keep it giving permission every day until time will come, and Allah will say, no, you come back where you came from. Which mean what? Which mean you come back from here. And that's what the hadith is saying. You come back from the west. This is what the science they said to you. The sun is a changing direction of where it's coming. It's obviously clear that Muhammad saying that the sun is the one going every day from the east to the west. And by the way, Muhammad did not describe to us how the sun come back from the east usually. Because all what he say, it go under the throne of Allah and then ask permission to come back. And it come from the east. But anyway, what Muhammad he made or he said is very important. I mean, from this Pakistani boy, pizza guy, who is trying to fool us saying that Quran speak about orbit. This is the orbit. And actually even Muhammad he mentioned clearly that this is what he meant when he said, and the sun run in its own course, fixed course. This is the orbit. Do you see it? Muhammad not only he quote the Quran, Muhammad he explained a verse in the Quran, explain how it function, explain what it's meant, that the sun runs to its fixed course for a term and decree. Can the Muslim say this is not true? Can the Muslim say you are lying? Trust me, they will. Even though the hadith say so. And if you remember, we have a sister Fifi who said, yes, this hadith is sahih. You remember Fifi? Anyway, it's a Sahih Bukhari. Anyway, who cares if Fifi said or not? But sister Fifi, she support me too. She said, yes, Radwan, this hadith is sahih, Radwan. Put that in your skull. The Prophet refuted you, Radwan. Do we have any Radwan here? So obviously those people, they are fooling you. They are a bunch of liars. And anyone will use a bad language in the chat, I will block you. Now I will give you a warning. Next time you see a filthy words tone, I will send you free shipping and hand it into Allah. Even if you are trying to insult someone, supposedly he deserves it. Nobody use bad language in my chat. Alright? So as you see here, my friend, those people, they are a bunch of a fraud. They try to fool you. I want you, if you are honest, little bit honesty. Muhammad explained very well where the sun goes, how the sun function. The Muslims, they say to us, how Muhammad he knew this 1400 years ago? Well, obviously, he knew this 14 years ago, which is stupid. What they say to us he knew is an idiot talking, claiming that a God told him. The sun set in the murky water. This is a verse, not only Muhammad, he confirmed it in the hadith, it's confirmed in the Quran. The Muslim, they say, oh, this is how it appeared to Alexander the Great, Zulqarnain, the man with the two horns. Nowhere in the verses says that. So why you are adding words? Why you are saying false statement? The one is talking is Allah. It's not Alexander the Great. Did Allah say it so he thought? Don't you Muslims say that Allah language in Arabic is the best? Well, if he thought, Allah, he would say he thought. Is he short of Arabic to say he thought? Don't you know? He says, dhanna, ataqada. No, he says, Allah, he said to them, oh Muhammad, I will tell you about Zulqarnain. They are asking you about Zulqarnain. The Jewish always, they get Muhammad busted. That's why he hate them. They said to him, can you tell us about Prophet Zulqarnain? But Zulqarnain is not a prophet. The guy is a bisexual. Alexander the Great. He said, Muhammad, he went home, stayed there for 2 weeks, trying to find the internet, search Google, brother, because sometimes there is no Google at that time. That's why Muhammad, he got the story wrong. So they said, he's, okay, I will tell you, Muhammad, I will tell you about Zulqarnain. Tell them, I will reveal something to you about his story. Verily, we establish his power on earth. Allah is the one who established the power of Zulqarnain. And we give him a way of all means, all the end, because he's a prophet. Okay, when such a way he followed until he reached the setting of the sun. It doesn't say that, CP. Change the translator. It's a sitting place of the sun, brother. And then to solve the problem, they say, oh no, it's not Allah saying that. This is Zulqarnain, he thought. You idiot. Do you see? It says Allah talking. Until when he reached the setting of the sun, he found it. He reported a finding, the same as this guy reporting a find of Galileo. If your God Allah know about Galileo, he will mention that. So he found it sitting in a murky spring. And by the way, the Muslim, they say to you, well, don't you know the Zulqarnain, he saw it going down in the ocean, so he thought this appeared there, but not Allah. First of all, there's no ocean, you idiot. Don't you see the word spring? Since when the spring is an ocean? This is a legend that the sun goes every day, rest in this hot spring, so to get her heat. Because they learn that there is hot springs in some places and they are boiling non-stop. So they were wondering why this bowl is always very hot, bringing heat. So the sun go in a muddy spring, sleep there, get its heat back and come back. Because by time go in the morning and then by noon it's so hot and then it cool down and to disappear, and that make them believe it's going in a muddy spring of water which is hot. So this is the Quran and this is the science of the Prophet. And remember, we showed you what Muhammad he said, not what a Christian prince he said. This is not my opinion, that the sun goes every day from the east to the west, prostrate itself. Science doesn't say that. Science says that the day happened because the sun is not the reason, it is the earth. The earth is rotating around itself, and that caused the day and the night. So when the Quran says the day and the night and the moon and the sun, they go in an orbit, he is stupid. He considers the day as an object, the night is an object, the moon is an object, and they are going in an orbit as Muhammad described here. So when those fool Abdul, they try to fool you, we spank them and we expose them. I'm not going to keep you long. We will try to come back later. Guys, shall I come back later? You know what? I will come back right away. Not right away. I mean, what right away? Let me see the schedule. I have 13 wives, guys. I mean, it's not easy. I'm a very good prophet. I have time for Allah, time for boom boom, time for 13 wives and 13 mother-in-law. Can you believe it? And I made a verse saying, any Muslim woman, she want to give me her panty as a gift. I mean, her private part. Because I'm a very decent man, brother. I'm busy with scientific discovery. But because I'm busy with scientific discovery, how Muhammad he knew this? How Muhammad he knew that he as a prophet, he needed women to give themselves, their vagina to him. I mean, think about it. This guy is working so hard. Allah, he decided to give him reward. So he made a longer chapter. All of it is about sex. It's lawful for you to have boom boom with your wives and your cousin and the cousin of the cousin and the cousin of the cousin of the cousin and the cousin of the auntie and the cousin of the uncle cousin cousin but again cousin but the cousin and then the cousin and the daughter of the cousin and the daughter and the daughter of etc and the daughter of etc and the daughter of your uncle from the side of your mom. It's okay to have sex with them, and it's okay for you to have sex with any immigrant women who immigrated for you, brother. And not to forget, brother, that any woman she decide to give herself to the prophet to do boom boom, she is lawful for you and she is only privileged for you. In the top of that, brother, not only women who offer themselves to give themselves to boom boom boom, you can have them. Don't forget the slaves, brother, who you capture in war, for Allah assigned for you. Man, this is the size of a city. Allah, he went to his office and he started writing what is lawful for Muhammad to do boom boom to it. What is missing, that Allah did not mention the disposal machine, because look like anything have a hole, Muhammad wanna do boom boom with it. I mean, who left? But what I make it, I mean, I find it funny. Allah, he said to Muhammad, your wives are lawful for you. They are already his wives, you donkey. So all this time he was having sex without permission? O Prophet of Allah, we made lawful for you your wives, to whom you paid their mahar. Okay, the guy is already doing boom with them for the last 20 years. Now you remember to say a verse, I made lawful for you the wives. You ask the Muslims, why the Prophet he have 13, the Muslim can have only 4? Oh, the Prophet, he have a special privilege. His license plate, it says he can, if anyone, open unlimited, like when, like, don't you have like some company they say give you unlimited text and messages? Well, Muhammad, he have unlimited boom boom, a privilege. Why Prophet Muhammad have unlimited privilege for boom boom? Because he's a prophet. A prophet of God, he will be busy spreading the truth, fighting for it. I mean, what's wrong with having 1 woman, 2 women, 4? Why unlimited? Because he's a prophet, you stupid idiot. You think he's like us? When he's not like us? No, he's not like us. First of all, he knows things 1400 years ago nobody knows save Allah. And as you see, he discovered where the sun goes every day under the throne of Allah. So people of murky water, Muslims who believe that Allah is a shin and he have 2 hands on the right side and he have a foot and have 5 fingers, and yet you think he is not a man, so he's what? He's an octopus? No problem. This is the orbit of your prophet. Stop lying to people. We got you busted and everybody is laughing. Now we made this potato, we offer him a challenge. Do you think he will accept it? The coward, even he disabled the comment in the section in the video where he said he want to debate me. Why? Because I think me myself, I posted there, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I think I posted there, when they send me the video, that's, hey Abdul, come, or I don't know, maybe you guys start posting too. I don't know. What a shame. How the prophet knew this. Now I advise you, after discover that the prophet, he is the only one discover that the sun goes every day and travel and prostrate under the throne of Allah and ask permission to come again, I ask you to agree that Muhammad, he had many degrees, not degree. He's Dr. Muhammad. From now on, don't call him Prophet Muhammad, please. Call him Dr. Narrative in the Holes, like Yasser Qadi. You have to add doctor. You have to add the word doctor. We cannot just call him prophet, because this is not just a prophet. This guy, he knew about astronomy, he knew about biology. As an example, biology. He knew that the sperm coming from the backbone. How he knew that? I mean, the backbone is where the sperm coming from. True. And women have a sperm coming from their ribs. This is true. How Muhammad he knew that? Let me show you this one before we go. How Muhammad he knew this, which is the only reason make me think maybe I can get married, because I was afraid my son will look like me. But now, by the help of the Prophet of Allah, I am sure that will not happen, because I know the method to prevent it. The Messenger of Allah said, the man water is white and thick, and the woman water is thin and yellow. And whichever of them comes first, the child resembles the parent. So Muhammad teaching the Muslims that women, they have a sperm, and their sperm is thin and yellow. And this is what they see is gushing forth. And this is what we see in chapter 86, verse number 6 and 7. How Muhammad he knew this? Oh, sorry, Dr. Muhammad, Dr. Hall in the narrative. The one who comes first, the child will resemble him. Are you sure? And this is Sahih. So you cannot say this is weak and this garbage, you know. How he knew this? My friend, if you are a person who look really scary like me, you scared the hell of people when you go in the elevator, you say good morning, nobody say hello back because they are scared. Never come first. You don't want your son to look like you. And actually, here speaking not only about the son, speaking about, I mean, the child will resemble the parents. Here speaking about the gender too. So your son, if you come first, he's going to be a male if you are a male. The male who come first. And he will look like you. And if the women come first, she will be a female and will look like her mother. Now, if your wife, she is not good looking, then you better come first. I mean, the bent who is better looking, hello. How the Prophet knew this? You tell me. 1400 years ago, there's no library, there's no internet, there's no 5G, there's no the crazy stuff. How he knew this? Huh? You tell me. I challenge you to find me a solution for this. And now the Muslim, they will try saying, oh, chromosome, etc., chromosome, science, you know, they play the games, you know, as usual. But we laugh and we die laughing at the stupidity. I want to say thank you, guys. I wanna thank you for being here, and I wanna thank you for support. And by the way, I'm thinking to take a PhD from Prophet Muhammad in no, not in astrology. This is a different word. In astonishing stupidity. You know, I think Muhammad is the most qualified person to give me a degree in astonishing stupidity, which means there you have to earn the degree. I mean, you have to be extremely stupid to get it from the most stupid person who claimed to be prophet. He's the only one he can give you such a debate. I'm sorry, such a degree. So I think that's a good thing. There's a guy, his name is Tom. What he want? Tom David is a Muslim. He want to discuss with you. He want to discuss with me what? No, I don't think he is even a Muslim. Anyway, so I want to say thank you guys for being here. We will try to come back live again, maybe afternoon, in my time, which is going to be, I mean, night time, not afternoon, night time in USA. So if you like to join us, please feel free. And we encourage all the Muslims, all the smart ones, you're genius, you know, to keep believing in the Prophet Muhammad. And please, please, if you are ugly, don't come first. We have enough ugly dudes around us in this earth. Unbelievable. Can we see some good-looking people? I mean, the world today became like zombie. You walk in the street like, whoa, look what happened. Now I know what happened. All the ugly dudes are having orgasm first. Enough is enough. It is time to change it. Please, don't have orgasm first if you are an ugly dude. Let your wife have orgasm first, so we can see good-looking people in the road, you idiot. Don't you see what's happening around you? Crazy people. Someone say, CP, no one is ugly. I don't know. That's not what. So how come women, they say to me, you are not good looking? I think you have a problem with your eyes. You know, actually, I told my dad, I told him, Dad, I know what happened. He said, what are you talking about? I said, you have a orgasm first. He said, hey, son, behave. How you talk to your father like this? I said, oh, there's no shame in science in Islam. Islam says there's shame in the religion. The Prophet says if you have orgasm first, the baby will look like the father. And now I know why I look like this. Thank you very much. And my father was astonished, like, what? Almost he converted to Islam, by the way, like almost. I mean, like almost. Yeah, true story. Anyway, thank you very much for being here. See you later. God is willing. Christ is Lord. And we got them busted. Subscribe to our channel and to our Patreon to be updated when we will go live. And you can read my books from Amazon.com. And Lord have mercy in the fool, in the foolishness, and the one who follow them. If a fool like Muhammad can fool you, how fool are you? That's my message to you. Thank you. God bless you, and see you soon. By the way, don't forget to download the videos. In a few hours from now, I will take them down, all of them. Thank you.